Before we begin, thank you very much to Alec P118 for joining the Patreon campaign. Thank you very much for the help. Thank you for helping to support the channel and keep it going. So I'm recording a couple of videos. I already recorded one video yesterday talking about the launch for an announcement for Transformers Legacy United. Right now, this is the only shout out I have left. This was it. I am now completely caught up. The pool is empty, and as far as I know, I don't have a shout out for tomorrow unless someone else has come along in the interim. But for now, the shout out pool is dry. And thank you everyone for getting it this far. But we'll see what tomorrow brings. So, while I was talking about the new Legacy line, it kind of had me thinking about just where we are in the Transformers fandom as far as leaks go. Now, obviously we cover leaks on this channel. We all enjoy speculating on new product listings. We enjoy seeing toys for the first time. We do admit there's a lot of shady activity that goes on with the leaks. Now, for this channel, I kind of follow a policy of if it isn't widespread, I don't talk about it. You know, if the pictures are out there, if it's on TFW 2005, then all harm that can be done has been done, and us talking about it now really doesn't add to it. So as long as it's something that is completely out there, okay, fine. Because let's be honest, a lot of us that have been doing this for a long time, we hear things once in a while that has not been made public yet. But you do the nice thing and you respect the fact that there's people's jobs on the line. So you don't just like throw that out there for the sake of internet clout. You actually, you know, just take it as you're fortunate to hear something. And of course, we don't always know if it's true or not. That's the other thing about a lot of this. Someone has said, "Oh, yeah, my dad works at Hasbro." Sure he does. Sure he does. I'm sure you know everything. So there's always like a weirdness behind this, right? There's always a weirdness when it comes to these leaks. So how much of it really is a good thing is what I'm talking about, because there's a lot to cover here. And I got to thinking about it, staring at this Bumblebee and staring at the discourse it created. So this happens a lot with early leaks. See, it used to be with prototype toys. Like, we used to go through this same mindset with prototype toys when we got the first chance to see them. You know, we would see, you know, it would be a new character, or it would be like an obvious, like, you know, toy in anticipation of a repaint. You know, a sideswipe that's done in yellow. Well, we're getting a Sunstreaker, right? But there was always people who would look at those prototypes and go, wow, those are the colors? What were they thinking? It's a prototype. It's not painted. It's not in final colors. It's in whatever cheap colors are in the machine at the time. And it was a laughable mindset back then, because it was obviously not going to be the final colors, but people believed the first thing they saw. That's the important part. Like, the first thing they see is what they immediately make their judgment based on. And a lot of times they don't give it a second glance. They just assume that, well, that toy is going to suck. That toy is going to be the wrong color. And we kind of got the exact same thing over this Bumblebee. Now, these days, a lot of us do know better. A lot of us do know, oh, well, you know, wait for official photos. It's probably mistransformed. But a lot of people got upset over the condition of the shoulders that this Bumblebee has in this photo. The problem is, it is mistransformed. We saw new photos of it just a day after these leaked that had the arms in the right orientation, and it looked fine. It's still a little bit weirdly engineered, but it looked absolutely fine. So you had a couple days there where everyone got fired up, everyone got heated and angry at Hasbro because they were producing a Bumblebee that, to them, had this really terrible engineering to it and looked really bad. We just hadn't seen someone transform it correctly. So look at all that negativity we spread. 48 hours of just spreading around negativity and just like being hostile over this toy for literally no reason. Now you can look at the finished model, you can look at the official imagery that shows it correctly transformed, and you're still you are still within your rights to be upset if you do not like how it looks. There are a lot of elements to this that do not strike true to the original animated design, and if that doesn't hit you the right way, that's all you. You are free to dislike it for that reason. But it is a little bit ridiculous when you get fired up over something that is very obviously incorrect about the toy when, it really isn't. So it creates this negativity. The leaks can cause negativity in the fandom sometimes, and we just get fired up and angry over literally nothing. Leaks also make me think about timing. Here we are just a couple days from PulseCon, and really, this is not necessary. Like, someone rushed those pictures of that Bumblebee out in order to beat them to the punch because they had to have the internet clout. Because they had to be the one showing off just how cool they are because they got to see the Bumblebee early. Never mind the fact that Hasbro was going to do a press release showing it off anyway. No. We had to look impressive. We had to look cool. We had to show off how important we are. The assets. I'm trying. There's certain terminology for this that I'm not allowed to use on YouTube, and I'm trying very hard not to use it. Point being, you think of like the people who are behind PulseCon right now, and you can go, okay, big corporate entity, who cares? We care because the people who are presenting these toys to us are obviously fans. They're obviously passionate about what they do. And keep in mind, they're the designers. They're the people who actually work to make these toys happen. And, imagine if you were doing something creative. Like, toys take a long time. From the initial sketches to the engineer work done at Takara, choosing the color scheme, breaking it up across the mold, producing the hard copy proto to make sure that this is a feasible design, doing the CAD model, running through test shot after test shot to make sure everything works before you even get close to a final product, and even then you can send it back for revisions. You're looking at over a year's worth of work before you have something that's presentable. And now here is this guy who got their hands on the final product early and threw it out there. Imagine if you were a YouTuber, imagine you working on a video for a year just for someone to come along and, you showed off to some of your friends going like, hey, it's finally done. I'm releasing it next week. And one of them goes ahead and posts it on their channel the next day. How upset would you be? Take away the corporate entity part and realize we're dealing with individual people here. And that is who I'm upset for, So it hurts them. It hurts them. And, like we said, like sometimes when these leaks get out, like they are shared very confidentially to a very small select crowd. So the person who originally put that out there, their job might be on the line because someone just had to post a picture to look impressive. So again, yes, there's a lot of shady stuff behind this. There really is. God, it didn't used to be like this. It kind of did, but not to the extreme that it is now. Back in the day, and I remember going to BotCon in 2010, and this is not a photo from BotCon 2010, obviously, but they didn't allow photos there, but this is the same slide, so I am showing it as an example. The point being, when you went to a BotCon once upon a time, the official Transformer convention, they didn't have like an online source that they could just show off all their new stuff to. They had to wait for those big official conventions to drop things. You're waiting for San Diego Comic-Con, you were waiting for Toy Fair, you were waiting for BotCon. So when you actually went to BotCon and you realize you're the first to actually see this amongst the public, there's something incredibly special about that. I got to see, the special ops jazz, the turbo tracks, the half-track Perceptor. I got to see all these toys that were coming up featuring characters we hadn't seen in a long time, for the first time ever. I was one of the first, me and, the couple other 100 people who were in the room at the time. And that felt really cool. It felt really cool. And Hasbro with their PulseCon is trying to present something similar, where here's a presentation full of brand new stuff, and you're supposed to enjoy the fact that you get to see it before the mass public, before anyone sees it on a toy shelf, before it's, really widely distributed and known about. But you don't get that. You don't get that when people have already announced the entire thing, when people have already dumped the entire wave out there. We've got the leaks. We got the leaks. I talked about it in the video I filmed earlier. We've had these, the leaks here are basically the roadmap to what we're going to hear come Friday. If we put all of them together, I'm sure you can suss out exactly. I think there's even a wave breakdown out there. I'm pretty sure there's even a wave breakdown out there. So if you just take like wave 1, you probably know what's coming out on Friday. And that sucks. It really sucks. That takes so much wind out of it. Now, don't get me wrong. Seeing this stuff is exciting. Speculating on what this could be and what we're actually getting is exciting. When Prime Thundertron is on the list, now we get to speculate. Is it a Leo? Is it a Leo Prime retool? Is it really Prime Thundertron, the most random of redecos and the most random of like new characters that you can actually do? Like, why would you waste a mold on Thundertron, who is toy only? Why would you do that? So now you got that going through your head too. And Cyber Starscream. Is it Cyberverse or Cybertron? We get to speculate this stuff, and the speculation is kind of fun. And again, as long as that info has already been put out publicly and there's no stopping it at that point, I don't mind discussing it. And admittedly, it does well for the channel when we talk leaks. But in this case, it's just, you had to remember, like, it does take some of the magic out of this whole thing. And I think it makes us lose appreciation for exactly, like, what these toys are and how much work goes into them when you just kind of break it down into, like, seeing what we're getting next. And like, we know months ahead of time what's about to be announced. The new caveat to this is, of course, the early toy reviewers. Now, we kind of went through this during the animated phase. Like, that was when you actually had more access to actually get things leaked out of a factory. A lot of people got a hold of stuff really, really early. And there was so much competition in the mid-2000s, the late 2000s because of this. Because everyone had to be the first one. People would spend hundreds of dollars on figures that would show up at retail just a couple days after their video, specifically because they were trying to be the first one on the market, because that's where the big money was, because that's where the big attention was. You had the first one out there, you're the name that got to all the big Transformer sites. And that was huge. That was huge, especially if you were a smaller channel. That was your gateway. That was your guarantee into being a mainstay Transformer reviewer, to being like a source, like a main source that people went to find out about stuff. When it comes to the early leakers now, this is so frequent and so callous and soulless that it's cutting out what used to be a really thriving and vibrant community. Transformer reviewing is not what it used to be. Like, when I do random review now, I could have stuff that came in from Amazon a month ahead of its normal release date. I could be reviewing it the same day that I got it. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because somebody already covered the entire toy in full detail, in depth, 3 months earlier. And at that point, all the opinions are done. Everyone who's wanted to see the toy has seen the toy. They've gotten their opinion, and it's ice cold by the time I could get my hands on it. And I feel bad for the people who see what I do and see what other reviewers do and go, that looks fun. I would like to do that. I would like to get into that. Because getting into that is nearly impossible now because, average Joe reviewer does not have access to this kind of thing. And nor would you want it. You're dealing in black market goods. Like, you are knowingly buying stolen product in order to get YouTube clout. In most states, that is illegal to knowingly buy stolen merchandise. Yeah, that's against the law in a lot of places. I don't know where some of these reviewers live, so I don't know how applicable it is to them. Either way, it is still underhanded, and it's still callous, and I mean, I don't know. It feels like they're doing it just for the attention, and I don't go for that. I really don't. So it's hard. It's really hard. If you want to be a reviewer these days that actually, makes it into the 6-digit mark, you got to play dirty. And that's not really comfortable for me. I know it's not comfortable for a lot of people, even if they had the access. Now, talking about leaks, I will admit, this is not a new thing. 20 years ago, we over at TFW 2005 had Orson's World, where we could actually ask someone who was a Hasbro insider exactly what was going on with the Transformers fandom. Now, here's where we come to kind of the other side of the leaks. Now, of course, these were the only leaks you had back then. There was literally no one else, slipping out things. Once in a while, something weird might pop up on eBay, a blue dragon Megatron that people swore was just photoshopped. But no, that was cryotech. But that was extremely rare when something like that slipped out. If we wanted to talk directly to Hasbro, this was the only way to do it. These days, you could hit them up on Twitter sometimes. But for the most part, back then, this was, you felt like you were getting something really special when you found out inside info. But nothing that really ruined the upcoming releases. Nothing really ruined any surprises. Just, a few little plans here and there. Very rarely we'd find out about something completely new. So it wasn't really doing any harm, and it kept excitement in the fandom up while we were waiting for new stuff to drop. Keep in mind, back in these days, it was months before you'd hear anything new out of Hasbro because product was coming out so much slower. You'd have a new wave of toys every month and a half, and in between those points, that's pretty much it, You had new episodes of the cartoon, maybe an issue of the comic dropped, and that's it. That was really it. So this kept us engaged. This kept us excited, so, and it still does. To a greater extent, leaks still make us excited for what's coming out, even when nothing from Hasbro is being revealed. So there is a marketing strategy behind the leaks, to the point where some people swear the leaks are intentional, and that these are, which would be explain why Hasbro's never taken legal action against, stolen reviewers. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that, I really don't know. I mean, I've heard them express disappointment on the streams when they have to reveal something that has already gotten out into the world. So, I don't know. As you can tell, I'm very two-minded about leaks in general. Yes, there's good and yes, there's bad. It really depends on what your perspective on the whole thing is. So, yeah, I'm kind of 50-50 on the whole thing. I think it hurts reviewers. I think it hurts the people involved in making the toys. But I also think it keeps us excited for what's coming up, and I think it keeps engagement in the brand and amongst each other really high. So, pluses and minuses. So, I don't really have a definitive answer for the question in the title of this video. All I have is a proposition. Let me know what you think in the comments, because I genuinely want to know what other people think about how rampant and brazen leaks are today. So, thank you everyone for watching, and of course, I will see you next time.
I'm like, I think you guys got this. I will back away, and I will see you all later.
You've got this handled.
Alafi's like, really? You're not gonna help me? Like, it's fine now.
It's like these disgusting creatures breathing down my neck, and you're all just like, I believe in you. You got this.
All right, you seem to have this. 5 minutes.